Are you looking for the best stereo AMPS? In this video we will look at some of the 8 best stereo AMPS on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. Cambridge Audio CX-A61. The Cambridge Audio CX-A61 is an outstanding amplifier with terrific digital capabilities. It's the latest entry in the company's CX series and it fixes almost all the issues we had with the CX-A60 amp. You get a full range of analog and digital inputs in a beautifully designed and distinctive interface. But most importantly, you get great sound. The audio quality is lively and rambunctious, injecting tracks with real life. This certainly isn't an amp for those who enjoy reference-grade sound. If you do want something with a slightly more neutral presentation, try the Parasound New Classic 200 integrated or the CX-A81, an 80-watt amp from Cambridge with slightly more restrained sound. You could make an argument that the CX-A61 amplifier could beat the Peachtree Audio Carina in the number 1 spot. However, it doesn't have the raw power and energy that the Carina has, and we just couldn't help feeling that the price was too high. At $999, it's $400 more expensive than the original CX-A60. To be fair, if you're prepared to put up with a few extra annoyances, like the reliance on a USB dongle for Bluetooth, then you can probably save yourself some money and buy that amp instead. However, none of that changes the fact that the Cambridge Audio CX-A61 is one of the most enjoyable amps we've tested this year. Read our in-depth review. Number 2. Onkyo A9110. Onkyo's A9 series has been a firm favorite of ours for some time. The original A9050 was featured on this list previously, and the new Onkyo A9110 makes some significant improvements. While the casing has undergone a slight redesign, the biggest changes are internal. Most of them have to do with improved amp circuitry, and circuits that reduce the length of time it takes for the audio signal to travel from place to place. The result is genuinely brilliant sound. For an amp that costs just over $300, you're getting audio quality that is just staggering. This is easily a top-budget pick, and it also helps that it comes with a wide range of connections, including a phono stage. However, we do wish that the A9110, the budget model in this range, included some sort of DAC. Even a cheap one would have been nice. The lack of one means you'll need to buy a separate converter as well, although this shouldn't break the bank. It's a frustrating choice, given that the more expensive version of the A9110, the imaginatively named A9130, actually has a DAC, allowing direct connection to a tablet or PC. All the same, this is a superb update, and a lock for the best budget amp for most people. Read our in-depth review. Number 3. Enon PMA600 NE. If you love vinyl records, there's more than one reason to use the Denon PMA600 NE to complete your system. First, it has an excellent phono preamp included, meaning you don't need a separate one. Second, it incorporates an outstanding analog mode feature, which bypasses the amplifier's digital circuitry completely. The pure, warm sound that results is definitely worth the trouble. And unlike less expensive apps, like the Onkyo A9110, there's both Bluetooth and a solid DAC included here, so it can take digital sources without breaking a sweat. If you're looking for a stereo amp to handle a turntable, and you like your audio to have some real weight to it, the PMA600 NE is the one to pick. However, this amp is made by Denon, so some design features are practically baked in. The remote is terrible, designed with what feels like no thought for the user. And while the PMA600 NE does have a couple of nice aesthetic touches, like the old-school font on the front end and the prominent knobs, they can't save the amp from looking absolutely dull. Being utilitarian is fine, but very little about this amp is appealing to the eye in any way. Good thing it sounds so sweet. Number 4. NAD D3045. We previously named the NAD D3020V2 as our top budget app, and this is the next generation. The NAD D3045 doubles the power output to 60 watts and adds some genuinely innovative features. Our particular favorite is the two-way Bluetooth, meaning you can not only send audio to the amp itself, but also have the AMPS audio to, for example, a pair of wireless headphones. You get a phono stage for a turntable, and even an HDMI ARC channel for using this amp with a TV. NAD have really outdone themselves this time, and while this amp is no longer budget-friendly, it gives you just about everything you could possibly need. The one issue we have with it is that it's little too expensive at launch. For comparison, the original NAD D3020V2 costs $300 less, and while it doesn't have the same advanced features, many of them, like the phono preamp and aptX Bluetooth, are still present. As good an amp as this is, paying an extra $300 for it feels like a bit much. We're also a little surprised at the power range, 60 watt RMS and 80 watts peak. That's surprisingly narrow, and although it's not a major issue, it could make speaker choice tricky. All the same, there are very few amps on this list with quite as many features, and if the price drops a little, this is going to rocket into the upper echelons of our picks. Number 5. Parasound New Classic 200 Integrated. If you know your way around a hi-fi system, then the Parasound New Classic 200 Integrated will be a hugely rewarding choice. It packs a stunning range of features into its slim frame, bypass input for surround sound, a crossover for bass management, and an excellent phono stage. It's a dream to use, and the audio it produces, while a tad analytical, still feels elegant and assured. We think it's a better option than something like the Shite Ragnarok, which is a little more expensive and offers slightly fewer features. Despite our love for this amp, we must mention that it's not suited for beginners, both in terms of price and in terms of functionality. To get the best out of it, you need a certain level of knowledge to utilize the features, making it a daunting option for most people. It's a superb amplifier in its own right and an easy top 10 pick, but you need to know what you're doing before you buy. We also would have loved to see some sort of Bluetooth functionality included, although, if we're being honest, the omission feels very deliberate here. Number 6. Audiolab 6000A. We like the Audiolab 6000A for its large and detailed sound stage. It really does seem to lend a system a little bit more presence and realism, making it easy to pick out the location of individual instruments. Plenty of amps do this already, but Audiolab seem to make a point of focusing on it, and it really pays off. And in general, the audio quality here does well and is matched by a good range of features, including Bluetooth. The most glaring downside to the Audiolab 6000A is that it simply doesn't do enough to stand out from the crowd. The design is dull, playing second fiddle to the classy Cambridge Audio CXA61. It has Bluetooth, but the less expensive NAD D3045 can send it both ways. And the DAC on the Totemkin amp does a better job. Put simply, the 6000A is a good workhorse amplifier that does everything well, but can't quite outlast the competition. Number 7. Marantz PM607. Marantz continue to be a viable option for those buying a new stereo amp. You'll have to be okay with a somewhat dull design, but there's no denying that the sound that comes out of the PM607 is excellent. Marantz have installed a new DAC chip, and the result is spectacular, rich and powerful, with good detail. You also get 2 filters for customizing your sound, and an excellent phono stage, one that rivals the Denon PMA600 NE, which is our top pick for vinyl. Where the Marantz PM607 falls down is connectivity. There is no Bluetooth to speak of, which means that all connections here will need to be fully wired. While that's not a deal breaker, it's frustrating that for all the attention paid to sound quality and customization, Marantz remain firmly stuck in the past when it comes to design or functionality. Given how companies like S.M.S.L, Cambridge and Sonos are innovating, that means you may want to look elsewhere. If you like to get your music wirelessly, there are definitely better options, even if they may not sound quite as good. Number 8. Cambridge Audio AXA35. The Cambridge Audio AXA35 is an enjoyable, if somewhat basic, stereo amplifier. The amp's balanced and clean audio quality makes a great alternative to the thundering Onkyo A9910 or the treble-minded Denon PMA600 NE, both of which are in the same price range. One of its big selling points is the design, which utilizes all of Cambridge's helpful tricks, like upside-down labeling on the rear ports. The company already makes some of the best amps available right now. The CX-A61 is currently in our top 3 above, and it's great to see them releasing a more wallet-friendly product. It means that the AX-A35 should be considered by anybody looking for a budget amp, although as we said, it doesn't do anything that other amps don't do already. There's also no DAC, which may be a problem for those looking for a single-box solution. Check out the aforementioned Denon if that's you. We also had some issues with the remote, which felt floaty and imprecise. While the AX-A35 definitely isn't the best amp on this list, it's good enough to be worthy of your consideration.